Welcome all to the resumption of the adjourned council meeting of the 7th of February 2022. I open the meeting at 7 p.m. I will now pass on to the CEO who will read out the formalities.
Thanks, Mayor. Welcome all. This is an ordinary meeting of Council. My name is Alison Beckwith and I'm the Chief Executive Officer. Tonight's meeting is being held online in accordance with the provision of Council's governance rules and the Local Government Act 2020. Tonight's meeting is a resumption of the ordinary Council meeting, which was adjourned on the 7th of February 2022, and considers those items on the agenda which had not been dealt with at the time of the adjournment. The meeting is also being live streamed via Council's website and Facebook page. The live stream is not interactive. Any comments or private messages directed to us while the stream is live will not be presented to the Council or have any bearing on the conduct of the meeting. Council's request to speak methods continue to allow participation without having to attend meetings in person. Tonight's meeting, we will hear from persons who had previously requested to speak on outstanding agenda items from the adjourned 7th of February 2022 Council meeting. Rules for public participation during the meeting. Please note that any public questions submitted to tonight's Council meeting will be printed in the minutes. Council does not accept questions as part of the request to speak process. No statement may be derogatory, defamatory, or directed to an individual councillor, member of staff, ratepayer, or member of the public. And a 2-minute time limit applies to all requests to speak. The timer will be used and a warning will sound at the 1.5-minute mark, and officers will sum up if indeed they are reading the statement out on behalf of a resident, and the Mayor will remind those speaking in person if their time has lapsed. To introduce you tonight who you see on screen, councillors in attendance are the Mayor, Councillor Elizabeth Neely, our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Alison Champion, Councillor Peter Castaldo, Councillor Rick Gorotti, Councillor Peter Demorellis, Councillor Alida McKern, Councillor Tom Malikan, Councillor Mark Di Pasquale, and Councillor Fiona Mitsonikos. This evening we are also joined by our directors, Mark Gilio, Director of Corporate Services, Kath Brackett, Director of Community Wellbeing, Darren Bennett, Director of Assets and City Services, and Natasha Swan, Director of City Development. Also here supporting the council team tonight is Gina Burden, Manager of Corporate Governance and Communications, members of the governance and our IT teams, and our Jets crew who are coordinating our live stream this evening. We thank you again for joining us and participating in tonight's meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alison. Our meeting is being held on the traditional land of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people. And on behalf of Banyule City Council, I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians. I would also like to pay my respects to the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung elders, past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait elders joining us today. Council is committed to and values diversity within our community. I will now read Banyule's diversity statement that demonstrates our commitment. Our community is made up of diverse cultures, beliefs, abilities, bodies, sexualities, ages, and genders. We are committed to access, equity, participation, and rights for everyone, principles which empower, foster harmony, and increase the well-being of an inclusive community. There are no apologies this evening. Are there any disclosures of interest? No. We'll move straight to the order of business from item 6.1, the draft social infrastructure framework. There are no speakers on this item. There's a recommendation on the papers, councillors. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved, Councillor McKern. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Champion. Councillor McKern, do you wish to speak? Please unmute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Quite a bit of work was done on this social infrastructure framework, and councillors did have the benefit of being briefed by council officers who have done an enormous job in its preparation. So we have before us this draft social infrastructure framework, and Council is being asked to approve a 6-week public consultation period. This is an opportunity for residents to include their thoughts, aspirations and comments for Banyule social infrastructure. But folks might ask, well, what is social infrastructure? It's a planning term and it includes facilities and spaces required to support and physically accommodate community services. Examples include of physical infrastructure, childcare centres, libraries, sport and recreation centres and grounds, and service infrastructure, community programs and services. In order to plan for the various community services and buildings required to support Banyule's community vision for the next 20 years so that we can fulfil our vision for 2041, we need to know, you, the community, we need to know your aspirations, what it is you want to see in the way of community facilities and services that are needed to meet not only current but future needs. So this 6-week consultation period is our community's opportunity to contribute, and Council looks forward to receiving your thoughts on facilities and services that will bring best value for our public going forward, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Does a seconder wish to speak?
Thanks, Mayor. Just really briefly, just to thank the officers for all the work they've done on this, and to just encourage as many people as possible in our communities to please contribute. We'd love to hear what you think, because you live here too, and you help us shape where we live and how we live and work and play. So your opinions are very, very important. So please take the time to contribute. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? I put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.1, award of contract, Montmorency Village Streetscape. There are no speakers. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved, Councillor Champion. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Di Pasquale. Councillor Champion, would you like to speak to the item?
Look, just really simply, it's not necessarily specifically about the tender or the process. It's more just to remind people, residents or visitors to Montmorency, there's going to be some disruption over the next few weeks, which is exciting. You've all contributed to this this project, and we've really appreciated your contribution and your thoughts. There's been a lot of work involved in this. Please be patient with the disruption, and we will have a more beautiful, a better, just more attractive, better functioning Weir Street and Pocket Park by certainly sort of by the middle of the year, potentially certainly by Christmas. So we'll look very different at Christmas time. So I just ask you to please be patient. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Would the seconder wish to speak? Councillor Di Pasquale.
No.
Does any other councillor wish to speak? Put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.2, property transaction report. There are no speakers. There's a recommendation on the papers. Do I have a councillor to move the item, please? And now I can't see. Oh, yep. Moved, Councillor Malikan. Seconded, Councillor Garotti. Councillor Malikan.
Just a requirement, or not a requirement, a thing this council decided would be best practice to periodically list all properties purchased and sold, and I think this is a good list, and it explains a bit of an explanation behind each one, but a good process to make sure we are being fully transparent, and happy to support it tonight.
Thank you, councillor. Does the seconder wish to speak? Does any other councillor wish to speak? Put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. 8.3 Audit and Risk Committee minutes from the 10th of December. There is one speaker. Kevin Hill has submitted a pre-recorded video statement that will now be played.
I speak on behalf of Banyule Ratepayers Action Group. I can fairly say to ratepayers that we are now receiving significantly improved risk oversight by councillors and independent members of the Audit and Risk Committee. 2 years ago, during the tenure of the previous council, Bragg regularly regaled council for the paucity of ARC meeting minutes and for inadequate strategic enterprise risk policy development. The previous council's focus was predominantly statutory compliance. This latest report demonstrates a mighty turnaround in risk culture. Ratepayers welcome the keen interest of our new councillors to risk management policy making and the performance and reporting of the ARC to council and ratepayers. Importantly, the adoption of the term risk management culture will further drive seminal changes in the mindset of council and staff. Well done, ARC. Bragg acknowledges the excellent work of Councillor Rick Garotti, who initiated the culture change and drove the improved extensive ARC reporting. ARC Delegate Peter De Morales is commended for his strong interest in ARC performance, as is Peter Castaldo. The cooperation with and professional contribution to the ARC of the CEO and finance team's senior executives also deserves special mention. Bragg is interested to learn that Banyule Council's development of an investment strategy replete with a risk appetite scale is a new step for Council. This is an excellent and valuable forward-looking project. Good to see ARC addressing sexual harassment in the Council's workplace and increasing the awareness of the psychological impacts of this insidious behaviour. Bragg questions whether ARC has considered Council's risk exposure to compensation claims from people who suffer injury or loss using the broadly acknowledged poor condition footpaths of Banyule. Assuming the Council fails to defend in court a potential class action claim for refunds to ratepayers who have been charged for a waste management service under the terms of a Section 173 agreement where Council does not deliver said service, what is ratepayers' risk exposure and will Council provision for such an outcome? Thank you.
Thank you to Kevin Hill for that recording. Councillors, there is a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move? Moved, Councillor De Morales. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Castaldo. Councillor De Morales, do you wish to speak?
I do, Mayor. Thank you. Audit and Risk, I'm excited to be a delegate this year on the Audit and Risk. Definitely the first year was a sub-delegate, which allowed me a bit of training and experience, and on the lead of Mark Di Pasquale and Peter Castaldo, who were delegates last year, and our Mayor was part of it, Rick Garotti. Again, Audit and Risk, this is a great example of what we do. The Council's investment policy, Audit and Risk team have gone through that and have endorsed it, ensuring that effective internal controls are going to be there. So that's very important for our money going forward. We've also had the sexual harassment survey report be tabled, and that's also come back with a positive light. And there's been a notable improvement in staff believing Council has created a safer workplace. Other reports that were tabled included an annual review of Council's risk management framework, which thank you, Kevin Hill, who has mentioned that, and the safety wellbeing quarterly report, our enterprise risk report, and the outline for business continuity planning and disaster recovery internal audit, which will commence in April. Overall, I think it was a great meeting, and I look forward to continuing these audit and risk meetings and keeping that accountability for Council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does the seconder wish to speak? Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Garotti.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just picking up that a report went back to the Audit Committee on the sexual harassment, survey results and findings and recommendations. That's of significance, I believe, to the entire full Council. I'll just kindly request if the Chief Executive could provide that report and a briefing to the full Council in due course. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Thank you for all the good work there. I put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.4, Audit and Risk Committee Annual Report. There is one speaker. Melissa Murphy-Webster has requested to speak, but due to the inability to make the rescheduled meeting time, Rosie Shiloh will be speaking on her behalf. Rosie will be joining us online. Oh, there you are, Rosie.
Hi, how you going?
Good, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I want to note that within the agenda, it states that the subject matter does not raise human rights issues. One, what specifically determined this when within the year 2021 vaccine mandates were dictated by state government and therefore created several areas that should be considered, i.e. the exclusion of residents and ratepayers to council buildings, events and in-person services, or the ability for businesses to operate without persecution and prejudice. And two, risk assessment and human rights are very much aligned with one another, and it seems they should be done as part of due diligence and governance. Will this be done moving forward and in a manner that expedites it? Please note, in asking this question, we do not believe that parroting the state government is good governance and therefore require Banyule to make the decision based on sound evidence. We do wish to add that it was pleasing hearing on Monday that when councils don't agree with the state government, as did Gympie in Queensland regarding access to facilities, it will endeavour to push back because, as stated, one size does not fit all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosie. Councillors, there is a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move? Sorry, I couldn't see because yep, Councillor De Moralis moved. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Castaldo. Councillor De Moralis.
Thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, just continuing on probably from the last agenda item, but very much this is the committee's annual report, which it really is that purpose of audit and risk and its activities and outcomes over the last 12 months. And ensuring that, again, as I mentioned, that accountability is happening throughout council and that's being reported back to councillors as well as the public. So thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Does a seconder wish to speak? Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor De Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just to make a couple of comments. Thank you very much for our speaker this evening. She makes a really good comment. Really being in many audit and risk committee meetings in the past over the last few years and moving through COVID, there has never been any discussions with regards to any risk with regards to actions that council are taking on behalf of the community. So it's an interesting question. I'm wondering whether there should be some risk analysis with regards to actions that council have taken on behalf of the community with respect to the guidelines that were handed down by the state government or do get handed down by the health department. I think there's probably a conversation for the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Okay, I put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.5, review of hybrid council meetings. There are two speakers on this item. Brian Grace will be joining us online. Thanks, Brian. You have 2 minutes. Okay, and you'll have to unmute, please.
Unmute. There we
Thank
go. Do I go now?
Yes.
Oh, hi, I'm Brian Grace. Thank you, Banyule Council, for allowing me to speak here tonight. I want to thank the Mayor, councillors and the executive of the council for allowing me to speak here tonight. I'm a resident of Greensborough and have been for 43 years. I'm a member of a local residents group, Good Governance Banyule. Sorry, it's my grandson. Sorry.
I can't.
Sorry, and I'm here to talk about item 8.5, review of the hybrid council meeting. The true purpose of the hybrid meeting was to allow residents to be part of council meetings and to allow for further contributions and opinions, whether that be by letter, audio, or by video. So, can you see me?
No.
Ah, Can you
Yes.
see me now?
Oh,
Oh,
you're
sorry.
running-
Sorry.
It's noting you're running out of time, Brian.
Yeah, sorry. I've got. The true purpose of the hybrid meetings was to allow residents to be part of the council meetings and to allow for their contribution opinions, whether that be by letter, audio or video. I don't recall council giving permission to councillors not to attend council meetings because they were not vaxxed. I am passionate about immunisation and the need for all of our community to be vaxxed. This matter has been hijacked by anti-vax people, as we've seen last Monday, who have used the hybrid system to use their means to an end. We should continue to allow only residents to be part of hybrid meetings so we can all contribute to have our voices heard. We live in a time where the community is screaming for true leadership, and councillors who do not attend council meetings because of anti-vax opinions is not true leadership. I believe that the community should know which councillor is vaxxed or not vaxxed. Show us true leadership. Take councillor out of the hybrid meeting terms. Leave it for residents only. I will take any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
We have a written statement as well, now to be read out on behalf of Amelia Williams by Natasha Swan, our Director of City Development.
Thank you, Mayor. This statement's on behalf of Amelia Williams. I believe these hybrid council meetings will fail our community. Where else will people be able to approach their councillor and get to know them? There are N95 masks available to wear if one feels uncomfortable. With the possible extension of this temporary provision to April, ward residents may not be able to see their representative on local government until then. I do expect my councillor to be at a meeting in person as a matter of course. Is there any other reason that a councillor cannot appear with his fellow councillors in the chamber? The community deserve to know this.
Councillors, there's a recommendation of the papers. Can I please have a councillor move the motion? Moved, Councillor McKern. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Mitsonikos. Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is an interesting topic, and I've actually come to see that the flexibility of hybrid meetings probably has a lot of relevance at this time. Given COVID, given mandatory isolation periods, it, I think, can allow for greater participation where a councillor in particular can't necessarily be at a meeting in person. Obviously, that's the best position to be there in person for reasons mentioned by the earlier speaker, and I thank the speaker for those comments. I might just say I had an incident on Monday where I had to leave the chamber urgently and am now in 7 days isolation. It would have been good for me to be able to continue participating once I'd returned home, to be able to go straight on screen and join in, because I did have prepared statements that I wanted to share with fellow councillors and our community. So I think, given the times we're in and the unpredictability and issues like mandatory isolation, hybrid meetings do have a place at this point in time. And I think the flexibility allows greater participation rather than limiting participation. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does a seconder wish to speak?
Thanks, Mayor. Just when we all thought life was getting back to normal, or well, somewhat normal, Omicron came. Hybrid meetings are the way forward in these uncertain times. Sometimes situations pop up, like Monday, that a leader just talked about, that mean we just can't attend chambers or we have to leave. As a councillor, I'm always happy to meet with residents in person to discuss a local issue, and I have done just recently. And I'm also happy to chat on the phone, by email, or even a Zoom call if they prefer to keep their space. Hybrid meetings don't change this for me. I can still continue to be there for my community. Hybrid meetings work well for many reasons, obviously COVID being the first reason, because life is unpredictable at the moment. Have you noticed how many people are currently in isolation and working from home? There's a lot. We can't change that at the moment, but you know what? We can still give people the option to be able to be participating in meetings, but from home. Just as a bit of a background, on Mondays, when I come into council chamber, my kids are looked after with a babysitter. And if my babysitter all of a sudden turns around and says, hey, I can't come in today because I've got COVID, and maybe, you know, gives me 5 minutes notice or whatever, then I can't come in. But I'm prepared. I want to be able to participate in a meeting. And this is where these hybrid meetings give us the chance to do that. On Monday, we were all there briefly before a leader had to leave. And it was great to be together. But sometimes we just can't be together because something might happen. A lot of us got kids at school. And, you know, there's a lot going on at schools at the moment. We don't know when we're going to be told, hey, you need to isolate now because your child's been put at risk. And I also believe it's a great opportunity for residents to be able to participate as well by given that chance to get online if they don't feel comfortable coming in. And yeah, that's why I feel like hybrid meetings are the way to go at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Melican.
It's basically been said, but I would agree with the speaker. I think in-person meetings are far superior. It gives you that much better engagement. People can like to look at you in the eye and talk to you face to face, and it's a better way to build relationships, better understanding. So I think face-to-face meetings are certainly preferable. But as previous speakers have said, at this moment, that's not always possible. And if we can do a hybrid meeting to ensure everyone's is there when they have to isolate or whatever, then that's certainly a better option. But I don't think hybrid meetings should be used as just an excuse so people can stay home because they don't really want to attend a council meeting, because I think that should be the default. So happy to support this tonight, but I think in-person meetings should be the default if possible.
Thank you, councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor De Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, interesting comments by our speaker this evening. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. There's no problem with that. Everyone in the community has their own opinion, which is fine. Everyone has the right to have the opinion. My opinion would be on this matter is that a vaccination is a choice that a person can either decide to take or not to take, depending on their circumstances, their individual circumstances. Now, with regards to the use and the loose word or the loose use of the word vaccination, very interesting marketing ploy to allow these, messenger ribonucleic acid technology, which is experimental at this time, throw them into the mix with every other vaccine that everyone, we have them as children, we have flu vaccine, we have all these things as well. So with regards to my opinion with choice is that this is different technology. This is something that our population is an experiment at the moment, and that should never be forgotten. With regards to hybrid meetings and the use for them, I think now and recently the technology has been developed so greatly that it works now. It wouldn't have worked, 4 or 5 years ago. I'm sure our speaker remembers staying, in council chambers for, up to 12 o'clock midnight, 1 a.m., us running long meetings and community members waiting to speak on items for all hours of the night. Really, for community members, if they're able to log on and be at home in comfort and speak on the item as it comes up, much more beneficial for community members. We'll get better support by the community there. And also council staff. It's really unrealistic to have council staff there to all hours of the night and then have to back up the next day to come into the office in the morning, tired and having to deal with another day of work. So to be able to sit at home and log on and be part of the meeting during that time would be very beneficial. So I fully support hybrid council meetings. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Garotti.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to chime in as the chair of our Banyule Disability Inclusion Advisory Committee, and just to reflect that for some members of our community, those who have physical disabilities, those who have other impairments as well, it can be challenging, it can be confronting as well to attend council meetings in person. I've attended every council meeting in person and will always be proud to do so. But as the chair of our Disability Advisory Committee, I'm very committed to ensuring that we're facilitating access and opportunity for everyone in Banyule to have a say and to have an input. And these hybrid meeting structures facilitate that. So I just ask that the speakers be cognizant of that and be cognizant of the fact that not everyone in the community is as fortunate as they are. And that people with disability do appreciate the opportunity to engage with council in this way. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Champion.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Look, I'll just add that council is required to follow a process, and in order for things to be achieved in council for the benefit of our communities, we do need to meet and vote as we're doing tonight. Now, if we don't have this technology and we have to meet in person, there are a lot of things we won't have been voting for over the last near 2 years because of our lockdowns, our mandated lockdowns. We just have not been allowed to meet in person. Therefore, a lot of this process will have shut down and a lot of our projects would not be completed. Or they would be pushed back, and the community won't benefit from that. So this technology allows for all of us, a maximum number of people, by all us as councillors and our officers, as well as the community, to participate and do the work that's required to keep ticking along, because the world does keep turning. So I'm all for the option of hybrid, which allows for us to keep working and keep achieving results until we're at a point where we can always return in person. So I certainly envisage something similar that Councillor Tom Melican has said. We would actually prefer to be in person, but technology allows for alternative as has been needed. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor McKern? Do you wish to sum up? Before you wish to sum up, I might chime in myself.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I've been thinking about this and listening to all councillors with a slightly different angle to their points on this. As a high school teacher and having to adapt to remote learning, there's definitely benefits with technology, and this whole situation over the past couple of years has made us rethink how we look at technology, how we look at these meetings. Other benefits are, can be quite efficient. I attended a community meeting last night with Councillor Melican that went for half an hour. We were in, went straight to the point, and then we were out again. So I understand it does provide opportunity. When looking at our role as councillors, the community expects to be able to see us and contact us. So I understand the points that have been raised tonight. But I believe this will come up for discussion later on down the track. Thank you, councillors. Councillor McKern, to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this has been a very engaging topic for our community and our councillors. It's actually good to see so many councillors having opinions and diverse opinions on this subject. It's obviously one that's top of mind, particularly in this current climate. I just felt that all the comments made were relevant and raised salient points, and just wanted to bring that home in summing up. And just wanted to point to the second recommendation that the officers are putting forward tonight, that this decision, should we all move this motion, or should we all adopt this motion tonight, is going to be reviewed as necessary in the face of changing legislation and regulation. So it's a bit like shifting goalposts. It's a decision that we might make that's relevant for this time, but in the future that might change, and we will need to consider relevant changing legislation, and in particular orders of the Chief Health Officer. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. I now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.6, adoption of Council's investment policy. There are no speakers. Councillors, I understand we have wording that differs from the recommendation in the papers. Can I please have a councillor move the alternate wording?
Mayor, if I may, I just had a question of officers.
Yes, Councillor Grotti.
Thank you, Mayor. So through yourself to appropriate officer, just a question on what the average current rate of return that council is earning on our liquid cash investments.
Yes, so through you, Mayor. Currently, at the December quarter, the average or the weighted average rate of return is 0.48% for the quarter ending December 2021.
And a follow-up question, if I may, what's the targeted rate of return that council's seeking through adoption of this policy and strategy?
Yes, through you, Mayor. The target rate as outlined in our risk band, or using the risk categories in the investment strategy, we're looking at CPI plus 2.5% over that 5-year period.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I please have a councillor move the alternate wording? Councillor Castaldo. Could we please get the alternate wording
Thank you, Mayor.
on the screen? Yep, thank you.
Additional point 5, review the investment policy every 2 years or following any significant change.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Is there a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Garotti. Councillor Castaldo, would you like to speak to the item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to speak to this item. It's an important piece of work, and I think Councillor Garotti has just indicated some of the additional returns to council, given the significant amount of money we do currently have earning just in basic interest in the bank account. I'm not going to do the mathematics now, but it's significant. Now, the amendment this evening is just to bring forward the review process, given the importance of this policy. It's important that we as councillors review the success, as we will throughout the year, but in a way that really delves into, is it delivering for us, and if we need to review that. And so that was some of the thinking behind the minor amendment, but otherwise I'm very comfortable with the policy. I think it's a very important step forward, and that is demonstrating an additional level of maturity of the organisation in ensuring that the assets of council work as hard as they can for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Does the seconder wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And thank you to our Director for answering those questions. I must say that 0.48% surprised me. That's actually quite a high rate of return. So well done to the officers for getting quite a good deal on the term deposits and other investments, because I think with a lot of other agencies, they're earning less. But with CPI plus 2%, council can expect in the order of 4.5% to 5% return. So that differential is about 4%, 4 to 5% per annum. I think council has somewhere in the order of $100 million in available cash. So now not all of that will be directed toward the higher risk assets, but I think that's just giving the community now a bit of a sense that by doing this strategy and by getting it right and by having it going through the Audit and Risk Committee and having the appropriate controls and checks in place, this council is potentially extracting a much higher return from working capital than we have in the past. And that could potentially translate into millions plus additional for this council. And that provides us additional flexibility in the future with regard to services, with regard to rates and fees and charges, with regard to our capital infrastructure plan. So this is good work, and it has been led by the councillor group and backed up by our officers. So thank you, Mark, and thank you to your team. And I think this sets us up for the future. And I think hopefully other councils, once again, will look at leadership that Banyule Council's adopting in this area and look as well to improve their investment policy and strategy. So very happy to put this forward to the rest of the councillors for consideration. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Garotti. Does any other councillor wish to speak? I put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.7, Draft Governance Local Law, number 2, 2022. There are no speakers. Could I please have a councillor move the motion? Moved, Councillor Melican. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor De Morelos. Councillor Melican, would you like to speak to the item? Councillor De Morelos, would you like to speak to the item? Would any other councillor wish to speak to the item? Moving quickly, would you put the I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. 8.8, record of councillor meetings. There are no speakers. There's a recommendation on the papers. Councillors to move. Do I have a mover? Councillor Melican. Seconded, Councillor Mitsonikos. Councillors, would you like to move or would like to speak to the item?
I'll just make a few comments here. You'll note that some of these were hybrid, some were not, but it's amazing when we have our briefings how much more information you gain, you understand. And you know, I know sometimes we can't all meet together, but it's, as we know, communication is so much more than what is said. And when people explain things to you, when you understand the details and asking questions, that you get a much better feel of how people are thinking about a subject or a topic. And the communication, you know, is two-way in a face-to-face meeting where you can talk about things, you can point at things on a diagram, and as many of us are visual, it's so much better to have in-person meetings to discuss technical details or large planning documents. So that hybrid has served us well, again, in those briefings and those information sessions we have. It's so much better to be in person, so you can all be looking at the same page at the same time. So happy to approve this, agree to this tonight, but I do gain so much more information and enjoy the face-to-face briefings, and I think we get so much more out of them. So happy to support this. Accept this tonight, but just point out that the face-to-face briefings are much better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Does the seconder wish to speak? Does any other councillor wish to speak? I now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Okay. Moving on to general business. There are general business items from a few councillors tonight. Councillor Rick Garotti has an item. Councillor Garotti.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I do have an item. Just bear with me while I bring it up. There it is. So I'm just a local resident, Rick Norwood, just wished for me on behalf of him and local residents to raise a general business item, essentially to thank council for quality customer service that we delivered. And the context was that he was walking their dogs along with his wife at the Oval at Binnack Park. The coaches' boxes, there was an issue with the concrete. They had a fall, and thankfully they weren't too injured. But they rang the council right away and spoke to someone from our buildings and properties team. The officer understood immediately, was sympathetic and efficient, and rectified the situation very quickly. And within a couple of weeks, the residents saw that some impressive measures had been undertaken to eliminate the risk. So those residents were very grateful for the quality of customer service and requested that I just bring that to the attention of all the council through this general business item, which I've done so. And Chief Executive, I'll provide you with those details for noting in our minutes. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, for that report. Moving on to the next councillor, Councillor Melican. I believe you have 2 items.
I do, thank you very much. And as you know, the Australia Day awards were done recently, and I'd just like to congratulate well-known and loved McLeod residents David and Jay Bryant, who received an OAM award. This wonderful energetic people together have contributed over 100 hours of loyal service to the Scouting organisation. They do enormous amounts of work and have helped thousands of children have fun, make lifelong friendships while learning important life skills. They organise and support the Round the World Train event each year and water activities for many thousands of children on holiday camps. David oversees Sea Scouts for all Victoria. I can't think of a more worthwhile recipients and thank them for all their great work. I'd also like to congratulate former Yarra Plenty Regional Library CEO Christine McKenzie on her AM award. She does live in McLeod, Christine, but I'm afraid it's a little bit of McLeod that's in Darebin, but anyway, we'll claim her. Christine, until recently, was president of the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions and is a leader in libraries right across the world. Her dedication and hard work in promoting and developing libraries has benefited our community, and this award is well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for those reports. Councillor McKern, I believe you have 2 items.
I do, thank you, Madam Mayor. Carrying on from Councillor Tom Melican's celebration of some of our community members there receiving recent honours on Australia Day. It was a real honour to participate in the 2022 live citizenship ceremony held at the Centre Ivanhoe on January the 26th. It was a really special ceremony with 79 Banyule residents becoming Australian citizens from 26 different countries around the world. Talk about inclusion and diversity. That's an incredible range of countries, and I was actually quite taken to realise that there were that many residents from such a large number of different countries. It was particularly special for Council to host this event live after so many ceremonies over the past couple of years being run online. Attendees did include Councillor Liz Neely, who was MC for the event, and fellow Councillor Alison Champion, as well as myself. And we also had the honour of MPs Kate Thwaites and Anthony Carbines and local identity Charles Picana there. The entertainment was absolutely outstanding with engaging musicians. I believe they're local, Brothers in Arms, And it was, after the ceremony, an absolute joy to meet and greet our new local Australian citizens. So we councillors look forward to engaging with our new members of the Banyule community.
Thank you, Councillor.
Shall I go on to the second item?
Yes, straight in.
Thank you. This item concerns the council meeting that was held on the 6th of December in relation to item 8.3, local law number 2, an item I spoke to, and I wish to personally apologise for a misspoken sentence that was said in relation to the gallery. It was said in error, and I am truly sorry. There were members of the public present on Monday night who regularly attend the council meetings and form part of the gallery, and who might have been offended by the comment, thinking it reflects on them. I ask that sentence in question is officially retracted and governance knows what that is. I truly and will always believe that public contribution to council meetings is valued and encouraged and is vital for our healthy democratic process. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, for those two reports. The only other item of general business, I believe, is my own, if I'm not wrong there. I think I'm right there. Okay. So mine's a quick one. On the weekend, I attended the Midsummer Pride March. It was such a beautiful day, weather-wise and pride-wise. The crowd was lively and grateful for the strong turnout of support. You know, public events have been few over the past few years, so it just felt like normal at the event. Just happy to mention that Banyule Council, we're proud to be LGBTQIA+ inclusive. And this means making sure all people have opportunities for social participation through our events like the Queer Street event, which I'm looking forward to this year, our LGBTQIA+ advisory committee, to flying the rainbow flag on days of importance to the community. So it was a very special day, a happy day that I attended. That's worth mentioning. Thank you, councillors, for that opportunity. Moving on to public questions. We have received 5 public questions. These public questions will be included in the minutes of our meeting, and the minutes will be available on our website later this week. Moving on. In accordance with Section 62A of the Local Government Act 2020, the meeting will now be closed to members of the public for consideration of one confidential matter. Can I please have a councillor move and second? Move, Councillor Champion, second, Councillor McKern. The next ordinary meeting, before, do we vote for this one? I've forgotten now. Put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. The next ordinary meeting of council will be held on Monday, the 28th of February 2022. Thank you for all speakers tonight. Thank you for those watching tonight. And thank you everyone for being here on a Wednesday night. I now adjourn the meeting at 7:54 p.m. Thank you for your attendance.